Look, if you clicked on this video, I don't need to make the generic wiki reading recap of Tommy Oliver. You know who Tommy Oliver is, you know his backstory, you know his introduction. If you're a hardcore fan of Power Rangers, Tommy Oliver needs no introduction, whether you think the character is overrated or not, because the legacy that Jason David Frank and Tommy Oliver has carved into Power Rangers will live on forever. But outside of the TV show, there's an extended universe of Tommy Oliver with several variants, and in this video we'll be covering almost all of them. Now, I don't know if this version of Tommy Oliver is actually a variant, it's more of an evil clone, but if I didn't put him in the list, then people would have screamed at me in the comment section, why didn't I put this Tommy Oliver in the list? He was the GOAT, he was my childhood. I remember this version of Tommy vividly, and that is Tom Oliver, the evil Tommy Oliver clone we saw in The Return of the Green Ranger, where Rita and Zed made a clone of Tommy Oliver, so we had the Green Ranger facing off with the White Ranger. And although the morphed fight between the two of them is really freaking cool, the freaking Zord fight between the Dragon Zord and the White Tiger Zord, that is really sloppy. That's like two different Sentai seasons being smushed together, and you can't really have the two Zords on screen at the same time, so they have to make it a long distance fight with like different stock footage from the Sentai, making it seem like they're in the same like show, because we were kids, we probably didn't know any better at the time. So it sucks that they never commissioned Toei to make their own like Zord footage for this fight scene, because that would have been sick. Like, I'm sure that maybe Toei had like the Dragon Caesar costume lying around, and they still had the one Tiger costume lying around, and they could have like maybe commissioned Toei to do something with those suits to film their own original footage or something like that, but we never got that. Now, the fate of this Tommy Oliver is kind of unknown, because they end up turning good in the end. And then after they turn good in the end, then we never see them ever again, because they're never ever brought up, they're never ever seen again. So you can assume that they went back into the olden times, or they stayed in the olden times to live a normal and peaceful life. So, seeing how the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie is non-canon, you can definitely call that version of Tommy Oliver a variant from another timeline. It's unclear how he became the White Ranger in that universe, because some fans speculate that he's always been the White Ranger in that universe, because in the opening Star Wars crawl that the movie does, it says that Zordon chose 6 Rangers. So, was Tommy Oliver one of them, and he chose Tommy to be the White Ranger instead of the Green Ranger? We honestly don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know, but hey, it's food for thought, and maybe we'll get an answer later down the line. Or not, I'm guessing or not. Now, although we never see their face or what they look like in the movie, we were meant to get a Tommy Oliver in the sequel of the 2017 Power Rangers movie, but unfortunately that sequel never happened. Now, we have no idea what the idea for this Tommy Oliver was going to be about. Some fans speculate that it was going to be a female Green Ranger. Some fans had no idea what this Green Ranger was going to be. But the closest thing we got to a sequel for the 2017 movie was the graphic novel Aftershock, written by Ryan Parrott. And although we don't see the Tommy Oliver variant in that comic, it's a shame that we never got a sequel to the 2017 movie, and we could have seen a concept of that Tommy Oliver in that alternate timeline. Now, if you want to get technical about it, I suppose Bat and the Sun's Super Mega Beatdown, or whatever they call it, has their own variant of Tommy Oliver, because this Tommy Oliver has faced off against people like Scorpion and Ryu from Street Fighter, so it's its own little special variant in a way, but it's not canon to the main Power Rangers lore. It's within its own timeline, within its own continuity. It's like Unworthy or Shattered Past. They're fan films because they aren't part of the main Power Rangers universe. And although Bat and the Sun did sell the rights to Saban to use the Green Ranger V2 suit in other Power Rangers media, we would later see it appear in the comics later down the line, where we saw a character known as Matthew Cook use that suit. Although Matthew isn't a variant of Tommy Oliver, he's his own character with goals and motivation and depth. So, yeah, like, I guess you could include Bat and the Sun's version of Tommy Oliver being a variant, but kind of like the movies, it's not canon. Alright, let's talk about the comics, my meat and potatoes on the channel. Now, there is a lot of Power Ranger comics to go over when it comes to variants of Tommy Oliver. Now, I won't talk about those early comics from back in the day because those are kind of a mess and they probably deserve their own video at this point later down the line, and I have to make that deep dive eventually to look at those comics from back in the early days, but that's when things get kind of messy. And I didn't include variants like from the Justice League and Power Rangers crossover because I feel like that Tommy Oliver didn't do a lot, and he didn't add anything unique to the other crossovers or the variants I added on this list for this video. So I left that Tommy Oliver out of it. Now, of course, if you know about the comics or you've read the comics, then you've probably heard the name Lord Drakkon floating around online or within the fandom. So if you don't know who Drakkon is or need a quick little 411, Lord Drakkon is a version of Tommy Oliver that never turned good and remained evil, conquering the multiverse. Now, in Shattered Grid, because Drakkon was attacking the Morphin Grid acted in self-defense and turned the 20-plus seasons of Power Rangers at the time into their own little pocket dimension. And one of the Tommies we see from these pocket dimensions is from Zeo, but that Tommy is kidnapped and killed by Lord Drakkon, and we're unsure what happened to the other Tommies, but you can probably guess that Drakkon killed them as well, so he can be the superior Tommy. Now, later down the line, in the Melissa run in the finale of Darkest Hour, we do get to see Old Man Tommy, or basically Dino Thunder Tommy, interacting with his younger self when he was the White Ranger, and it's a lot of fun seeing older Tommy interact with young Tommy, and of course his comments about the hair being made. Now, of course, we've got the Boom Studios version of Tommy outside of Drakkon. This is the mainline Tommy Oliver in the Boom Studios universe, and I could talk about this Tommy Oliver until the cows come home because he's got so much depth, so much character. He's really fleshed out, and I might save that for a video essay for another day. But to sum it up, this Tommy Oliver has layers like an onion. Now, because Boom Studios has done a lot of spin-offs, we do see a lot of different Tommies that appear in a lot of different comics, and we're going to go over almost all of them. So in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers / TMNT, we have this version of Tommy Oliver who goes undercover to join the Foot Clan to save a friend, but he ends up getting captured. The Shredder then steals his morpher and turns into the iconic Green Ranger Shredder, and in the sequel, things get even more crazier, where Tommy Oliver and the other Rangers are unable to morph, so they have to use mutagen to sort of boost their morphers, and this ends up turning them into mutants of their respective dino powers, and Tommy morphs into a literal dragon. Like, he turns into a huge freaking dragon, and he ends up fighting like the Foot Clan and people from Dimension X. It is freaking amazing. In Power Rangers versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Power Rangers, whatever you want to call it, in the first series, you have Tommy Oliver as the Green Ranger, and we get to have the match made in heaven where the Dragon Zord faces off against Godzilla. And you can probably guess how that fight goes down. But in the sequel, we get to see Godzilla sort of using parts of the Dragon Zord to power up, and it's really freaking amazing. Not only that, Tommy and the other Rangers get to use powers from the kaiju to enhance their abilities, and we get to see Tommy Oliver taking on this Godzilla-like form. And with this Godzilla-like form, he's able to fire atomic breath blasts from his helmet that do a lot of damage. Now, in this sequel, there's also a Tommy Oliver who's the White Ranger, but they stay morphed during the entire fight. Now, one of the most notable things, and one of the most recent ones that's on this list, is Tommy Oliver from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return. So, if you don't know what Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Return is, it was a mini-series written by Amy Jo Johnson, and it was basically what if the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers never split up. Now, I won't go into details and spoilers about the series because I think it's something you need to see for yourself, but to sum it up, this is a version of Tommy Oliver and Kimberly that never broke up, and eventually they had a daughter known as Olivia, and that's where I'll leave it at that. So go read Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Return and check it out for yourself. So that's pretty much every Tommy Oliver or every Tommy Oliver variant that I could find or want to talk about. So if I missed out on your favorite Tommy Oliver variant or clone or robot, whatever, leave a comment down below. Tell me which one I should have included in this list, but also tell me which one is your favorite. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, take care, and bye.